What are you hearing from Salesforce customers? I know Coforge works with a lot of large and mid-sized customers and practically probably all sizes in all industries. But tell us a little bit about the kind of nature of industries and what's the consideration, the point of view your customers have on Salesforce and AI.
So I think from an intent or a curiosity perspective, almost every customer is looking at AI automation, right? So what does that mean to them is two things, right? One part of it is on the time to value. How do I speed up my own time to value in terms of my development processes? How does AI come in to accelerate and bring velocity to me? So how do I deliver more innovation to my end customers or to my business or as an IT organization? If it's their whole goal is how do we do this faster? How do we bring better value to business? So that's one part of it that we are seeing, right? So that conversation starts with what are the tools, whether it's GitHub Copilot or Cursor AI, or how do we accelerate development? How do we use MCP tooling to drive that whole automation all the way through to everything from user requirements all the way through QA test cases. So there's the whole life cycle that they want to automate. So that's just one part. Then the business automation comes, right? How do you surface AI in customer experiences, user experiences, partner experiences? How do we bring maximum automation to the application itself, right? So persona based automation, whether it's an agent or a customer support agent, or if it's a salesperson, or if it's a claims adjuster, or it could be any persona, depending on the domain or the industry. How do we, or customer onboarding, how do we bring an agentic flow or experience to it? And then self service capabilities for everything, right? From partner portals to customer portals and so on. So I think the need is something that is there, but I think the challenge they have is what is the level of maturity of their orgs in terms of data, in terms of data quality, in terms of siloed data, or how do we bring all of this for realizing the promise of AI, right? So some part of it is the conventional AI, also the predictive models and recommendations, next best action, looking at your past transactions to predict future, and all of it. How do you deliver this in terms of at the application layer? And with that comes the usual questions of customer data now getting into this mix, and how do we deal with data security and privacy and PII? And so I think you've got multiple questions that they have, right? So I think they are navigating this in a very circumspect way because they are also worried about those kind of critical issues and they need to be satisfied. So what we've seen is the appetite is there. They're being cautious because they are not fully confident or on board, both with their internal maturity of their org or the complexity of the org, or do they have foundationally, are they ready for realizing the promise of AI? So I think that's the one question. Do we need to fix things before we can even pull the trigger on purchasing for licensing, whether it's Data Cloud or Agentforce or any other solution? Only these proprietary tools. Why can't we use our own things? And so there's another larger conversation on tooling, right? And licensing. Why can't we bring our stuff? And of course, there are limitations and questions and considerations around that also that they want answers. The last part of it is, I think, this whole maturing journey is
Stop you right there because there you said some very interesting things that I don't want to lose sight of. You mentioned
sure.
three broad areas: AI and automation, persona based, and self serve. And what's interesting is I was actually at Dreamforce last week and I
Mhm.
met some customers. One of them said exactly this, particularly around persona based, because it seems like that is a really good logical construct to think about how would you package AI and who do you serve with AI. I'm curious if you want to dig into that a little bit more of what you're seeing and maybe if there are variances based on industry. Would love to get your point on that.
Yeah. So I think that is the biggest area of opportunity, if you will, right? There are complex tasks where cognitive effort can be reduced through agentic automation, right? So for example, if there's a claims adjuster or fraud detection or other things, so that guided process takes away a lot of the cognitive effort that's required or the manual effort that you go through, right? So the automation possibilities for helping a claims adjuster or an underwriting agent in the insurance world, or for example, somebody is doing KYC or they're doing complex customer onboarding documents that need to be okay. And then how do you bring in OCR and how do you pre-fill forms from the documents that have been submitted? What are the compliance kind of automation that you can do to see, hey, have they submitted everything? Are you complete and stuff? So there's a lot of automation possibilities for these things, and which are also driven by the persona. For example, you can take even consent management healthcare, which is a far more complex requirement than what Salesforce provides today, right? Because consent has a lot of very different aspects to it, depending on whether it's for life sciences or clinical trials or for other areas, right? So again, you can tackle a lot of complex areas through this kind of AI automation, right? And I think there lies the largest promise. The self-service is a low-hanging fruit. You can do a lot of that stuff, right? Where either supporting users or partners or whatever. I think that part is definitely the quickest one where you can prove, like in the customer support arena, or you can do some of this. But the real opportunity lies in the end user personas from different industries, right? Where you are providing efficiencies and automation. At the end of the day, you're able to process a request significantly quicker, right?
True.
And therein lies the value, right? And you're also doing some reduction of cognitive effort. So all this data is being analyzed for you, and it's kind of taking you down that path.